Hey everybody, welcome back to Under the Covers with Charlie and Nick.
Nicholas,
Mr.
If you're David Grohl. We're
Yes. He also introduced himself as Mr. Nick last time. Uh, could have been the beers, I don't know, but we're back and it's a new year.
Yeah, that was a those last couple recordings. I think I'm still hungover. Those were. If you want to see us in rare form, those are the first two. Those are the two to listen to.
Yeah, there was some rambling, there was some cracking of beers, which will be normal on this show, but yeah, we were especially the last episode. We were pretty deep.
Yeah, yeah. But we got a lot of feedback from people, and we're still working out our technology issues. As you can see, I got a brand new microphone and setup. Hopefully, we get some better sound, and because I was lagging behind the deep investments that you put in there, Charlie.
Oh, you've outdone me now, so congrats. But
Well,
yeah, hopefully we both sound good. Nick might sound about $350 better. We'll see.
it was a lot of Mama Don't Know money and gift cards that I had saved up for the last couple of years. Actually, matter of fact, I didn't realize Amazon gift cards they last for like 10 years because I had one from like 4 years ago. So
nice. Well, hopefully she doesn't listen, because if she does, she'll know.
Just got to save them up for the big purchases, right? So
but no, we thank everybody for all the feedback. We thank you for joining us again, and any new listeners, we want to thank you for joining us for the first time. A little bit on how our show works is we'll pick a song, usually a popular song, and then we will pick a cover version of that song, generally a studio version, something that the artist put a little money into, and then we'll compare and contrast, and at the end of the show we will pick our favorite. And I'm still yet to buy the abacus, because we got to keep track of who's picked what.
right. And I did, you mentioned this here about studio recordings. I was actually at a party this afternoon, and somebody said, "Hey, I bet you're going to do Fish's New Year's Eve shows where they go to a whole, album or whatever." And I was like, "No can do, son. This is in studio recordings for right now. We got plenty of them. We got a laundry list that's hundreds of songs, probably hundreds of songs at this point."
Oh God. I mean, yeah, just in our list, like, just
Yeah,
in general, there's thousands, like, never-ending stream of covers for sure.
this will be the never-ending story, right? Part whatever we are.
Gosh, imagine us super old trying to record this.
Well, I don't know about you, but I am super old. I actually cleaned the garage yesterday, and I'm so sore. Like I was like, "Mindy, I don't know if I can get out of bed," and so she had to go get me medicine before I got out of bed.
Well,
That's
I
how old
mean,
I
why
am.
do you store just so many cinder blocks just in your garage? You gotta pick them up and dust around them all the time. It's gonna hurt your back eventually.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I do always have cinder blocks. I do. I have no idea why. Actually, the funny thing is I put stuff in the trailer yesterday, and I was trying to put the lawnmower in sideways so that it didn't roll around when I was taking the trailer to the storage area. And it didn't fit because I had cinder blocks, and I was like, "Oh shit, I got to move these cinder blocks." And I'm like, I don't use those cinder blocks for really anything. Just carry around some old cinder blocks.
Yeah, maybe one day we can get drunk and smash them with sledgehammers like we did your swing set that one time. While the kids watched from the slider door, all sad and confused.
Is that a story to tell?
While we played Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit. Oh, that was amazing.
That was an interesting day. We found out beers, Keystones at the time were what, 58 cents a piece?
Yeah, we did the math because we wanted to smash more once the old swing set was down, so we decided to smash some Keystones. We had to do the math to make sure we weren't wasting too much money.
Yeah. If those were $1, hell no. No Keystone crushing.
No.
So
thanks.
this week, we got a cool song. I'm gonna take us back a little bit. When we started when we started talking about cover songs, some people know the story, some people don't. But we were at a lake, and during the summer, and just listening to music, and some cover song came up, and Charlie asked me, about what song, the cover or the original was better, and we looked up a playlist that was out there, and it had a bunch of cover songs in it, and as we're scrolling through, you remember this, this song came up as the cover, and I'm like, what? And it's so left field. So
Yeah, I think you were even asking me like, or I think we were kind of playing guess who the cover band was, like
yeah.
as we were playing it, and in a million years I would have never guessed this band.
So yeah, and people get a clue. I think people are starting to understand that behind you starts to get a little clue on what song we're doing here. But there's a Kansas album behind him, and so the song is "Carry On My Wayward Son," and the cover version. What?
It's actually, I always thought it was "Carry On My Wayward Son" too, but it's actually "Carry On Wayward Son."
Oh, geez.
Like that's the title of it. It's weird because they always say "Carry On My Wayward Son," but
yeah.
the actual title of it is. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No, I
correct
love
you
it.
there. I just thought it was strange because I didn't know that. I would have 100% just been on the my being in there, but
Well,
anyways.
it's literally right in front of my eyeballs. I just decided not to read that word for sure. So and now I feel silly that, or excuse me, I just added that word because I'm literally looking at it as I say it. So, and the cover version is by our good friends from New York, Anthrax.
Anthrax, the thrash metal band, one of the big four.
The Big Four.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we said that, I was like, what are they gonna do here? And I think everybody's gonna be pleasantly surprised about how this kind of turns out. But man, it was fun. I'm excited to get into this. I gotta say, oh, you know what? We've got a. Do we have a sponsor this week? I'm not sure if we have a sponsor this week.
we do have a sponsor this week.
Oh, good.
And yeah, it's probably a perfect time before we start getting into the songs and everything. Give them a shout out so we can get paid. So this
The
week
big
we
money.
are sponsored by the Carry On Wayward Slumber Pillow. Introducing the Carry On Wayward Slumber Pillow, where every night you can lay your weary head to rest and dream of the beautiful dust in the wind. You'll be surrounded by the sweet melodies of comfort with our pillows. Take your nap time to the point of no return with the Carry On Wayward Slumber Pillow. Don't you cry no more about your old lumpy drool-stained pillow. Buy our pillows today and carry on with your sweet dreams.
Oh my gosh.
So we just got paid.
There you go. Cashing those checks.
So buy it today.
It's funny you bring up these. We bring up these ads. I was just at a friend's house, and here in upstate New York, they got these ads. Every ad has a jingle, like these crazy jingles for their phone numbers and whatnot. And I know I've told you about this, but there's this law
I've seen
firm. There's this law firm
yeah.
that goes through their whole jingle, like, if you're in a car wreck and you don't want to be a wreck, call us. And it's like the phone number they go is like 1-888-8-million. And I'm like, that's how they're telling us their phone number is 8 million. And then you got to do the numbers, being like, yeah, I guess that would work. But who does that? It's a one of one song there.
Yeah, it's a good one. Maybe we'll get some jingles eventually. Nobody's reached out to me yet to sing, so might be okay to our listeners that I don't. So,
but that sounds like a hell of a pillow. It probably evolves through the night. There's probably you sit over here and it's very hard. Over here you got a nice little like signature of piano. Is that what because the song evolves quite a bit as we go through it, right?
You got that nice acoustic piano sleep, and then all of a sudden, boom, synthesizers and freaking electric guitars are in your face.
Ram it up her ass. I don't know what that meant.
I don't either, but yeah, "Carry On Wayward Son" by
So back to the
Kansas,
song.
the band Kansas. Do you know where the band Kansas is from? I mean, just give me a guess if you don't.
South Dakota,
That was a bad guess.
South
North
Topeka,
Dakota.
right?
Yeah, Topeka,
Was it
Kansas.
really North Dakota?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
no, it was Kansas.
That's what I thought. I was like, look, I mean, if you're going to be a prog rock band, you have to be from Kansas. If you're going to name yourself Kansas, because I've been to Kansas. Not the let me think of how to say this. The prog rock capital of the world.
I wouldn't
I don't know
imagine
where the
so.
prog rock capital of the world is.
I mean, I think a lot of prog rock came over from Britain. You know, there's a lot of good bands there. One of the bands, you know, that I read about that Kansas was inspired by was King Crimson, which I've been listening to recently, and I've been enjoying it. You know, I don't know, it's just something different. ELO is another one I've been listening to. Not
I can't get
ELO,
it.
sorry. Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Oh yeah, yeah. King Crimson, they got that weird album cover with the big eyeballs and the scary face, right?
Yeah, and actually, I've been kind of looking at that album. The local record store has it, and your wonderful Christmas gift of the gift card there. I might use that to purchase that one.
Right on, right on. Well, you know, my favorite, it's prog rock, is Pink Floyd, man. I mean, they got to be they got to be the biggest prog rock band, right? They're prog rock.
Yeah.
They're probably by far.
I mean, yeah. I mean, prog stands for progressive, right? So they were very progressive in their time.
Yeah. So Kansas, this was on 1976 Left Overture. Good name of an album, huh?
What a fun name of an album. Yeah. Cool artwork too. Like,
yeah.
You know, you got the monk or something, you know, writing down, you know, his music notes and everything, and writing his own song. Left-handed, also, by the way.
Nice. Look at that.
Yeah.
Lefties have rights too.
And but yeah, it's a good album. It starts out with "Carry On, Wayward Son," so what a perfect song to start an album with. You know, if you're gonna pick one.
Yeah, it's a banger, as they say. And it's funny that it starts out with that song because was it Kerry Livgren? That's who wrote it. He was their guitarist. He actually wrote all the songs on this album, and this was the first album that he actually wrote all the songs. Steve Walsh and him usually shared writing credits. But they were getting ready to go to, I don't know, New Orleans or somewhere else or somewhere to record this album. And this song was the words beamed down to him overnight. And they actually had to stay in the rehearsal space to rehearse it because it was such a hell of a song.
Yeah, and that's what I heard. They had to like delay leaving the recording sessions because yeah, he came up with the song as one of the last ones recorded for the album, if I recall.
Yeah.
Is he the one who also got like super Christian and left the band?
Yeah, I don't know if he left the band, but I know he became born again basically the next year, which it's good for him. I mean, if that's your calling, and
you do you.
I mean, to go out with "Carry On My Wayward Son" or "Carry On Wayward Son." There you go.
I know it's hard to say, just like how your brain read it, like with the "my" in it. It's just because, you know, it's just we've trained ourselves for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's again why I brought it up, because it blew my mind. But you know, speaking of blowing my mind, I didn't realize that Richard Williams, the lead guitarist of Kansas, blew out his eye basically. with a homemade firework.
What?
So
All right, I need to know more.
So when I was doing some research for this song, I think I went to their official website, and there was a picture of a dude in a fucking eye patch. I'm like, dude, that's cool. Like, you got an eye patch. You look like you're like a pirate guitarist. And so I had to look up why do you have an eye patch? And sure enough, he fucked his eye up with making a homemade firework when he was like 12 or 13 or something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so he went blind, and I guess he used to wear a glass eye during the shows and stuff. So if you watch the video for this, it's a fun video. It's just like them performing live. It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's not wearing an eye patch because he's got a glass eye in there. But I guess it got kind of like he'd have to like readjust it and shit, and it'd be annoyed. So he's just like, "Fuck it, I'm wearing an eye patch."
Oh man, I had a buddy that had a glass eye one time, and sometimes it was a wayward son, so to speak.
It's funny, but it's not.
It isn't, but that's crazy. I like it that you said I had to look up why do you have an eye patch? Like you Googled him like in his own personal directory.
I Googled Kansas guitarist eye patch, and there's a bunch of results because I mean, some people just wear eye patches to look cool, and I wanted to make sure he had a legit reason.
Hold up, we're gonna put this podcast to a halt in a second here. Who the hell do you know in your life that wears an eye patch to be cool?
I don't personally. I just assume.
Sorry, other than people at Halloween. Other than people at Halloween, or the guy at the beginning of the SpongeBob SquarePants thing. No, that's crazy. But I didn't know I'd ever have this in-depth of a conversation about people with eye patches or even glass eyes. But going back to the song, what I thought was interesting was these guys were in 1976, I'm assuming, maybe a little earlier. They were actually in their rehearsals, and it says in a vacant store in a strip mall. And I'm just thinking of like strip malls around here with like a Dollar General in it, or a beauty hair salon place like this, and then next door is freaking Kansas just ripping out this album. like what's up with that? I mean, there's people like, God, who has all the handicap parking spaces? Oh, it's the guy with the eye patch.
Yeah, that would be.
He probably gets one of those dangly things.
Can you even drive with one eye? Probably.
I guess.
Got to make sure your depth perception is all right.
Well, no, it wouldn't be all right. I mean, because you have one. That's why you have two eyes, is for depth perception. So you're inherently going to be behind the. I don't know. Yeah,
that's why I said, can you even drive with one eye? Yeah, let us know if you can drive with one eye.
Yeah, there's only one eye folks out there. Let me know if you can drive.
You know what else I read about Kansas? Was they were interviewed for a VH1 Behind the Music. You remember all those episodes?
I love those.
Yeah, those are good. And but I guess they were interviewed and they recorded a bunch, and then the show was never produced because their offstage lives were too dull. Is what the, and I didn't do a bunch of research, but that kind of cracked me up because I was like, well, I guess they just weren't one of those bands who partied and threw TVs out hotel rooms and whatnot.
Yeah, so maybe I'm gonna come clean here, Charlie. I don't really like Kansas. Like, the only reason I'm doing this episode is because
it's for Anthrax. The Anthrax song.
I mean, like, you got Kansas. First of all, my buddy Dan can play "Dust in the Wind," and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the most I've ever liked that song ever in my life, is when my buddy Dan would play it.
Not even from old school when Will Ferrell sang it.
No, I fuck "Dust in the Wind." I know it's a big song. Come on, screw it. It's like that one in Desperado. I want to punch. Like, I want to punch stuff. I want to break stuff. I want to bust Keystone cans and swing sets. Yeah, so I can see those guys being crazy dull. When I looked at this Liv Grin guy, the guitarist who wrote this song, and I saw like what he looked like. I mean, he looks like a dude that I'm like, you're weird. Number one. Number two, you obviously kind of suck because you're in a busted out strip mall to rehearse. I mean, come on. Why can't you rent out Madison Square Garden? So,
I mean, every band has to go through growing pains, just like I'm working with a $50 mic here.
and look,
It's kind of like the strip mall of mics.
I mean, and how far, if you're that dull that VH1 says this sucks, then how far do you have to go to be a born again Christian? I mean, this is a rounding error for this guy.
And like I said, I didn't do too much research on why VH1 turned him down, but maybe he did just talk about Jesus too much during the old recording.
You can talk about Jesus. I mean, you can talk about Jesus. It's just don't be so boring about it. Like do the thing that they do, like where they're like, God Almighty,
speaking tongues and whatnot.
Yeah, do something like that. Yeah. So, but carry on, Wayward Son. Gosh dang, that's so hard to do. Found out it was the second most played track on classic rock radio in 1995. And in 1997, it upgraded to number 1. So
wow,
it's been played a lot.
About 20 years after its release, it was super popular.
When it went down to classic rock, for sure. Folks, I'm sorry I went on a rant there about Kansas. I mean, if you're a big Kansas fan out there, or if you're actually Kansas themselves, I mean, Charlie's Googling the one-eyed guy, so I'm sure he's going to listen to this. I apologize. It's my own personal belief. It's not anything that should be looked down upon for Charlie or the networks that we're on.
Everybody has their own opinions to music. Like, nobody should take offense if you don't like a band or a song or anything like that. It's all opinion. Like, they were professionals. They did what they did. I enjoy them. I don't listen to them a ton personally. I saw them at the Summer Celebration, which we brought up in the Taylor Swift episode, I believe.
Oh yeah.
I can't really remember. That was kind of a brownout night, but
nice. I love it. Well, the song here, as we kind of transition here, is 5 minutes and 23 seconds as it was written. There is a radio edit that's quite a bit shorter, and this has 569 million listens on Spotify. Nice. That's a lot of listens for classic rock. I mean, this is one of the big ones that we've reviewed. One of the things that, as we get into listening to this, that kind of explains how you feel during this song, is the song fluctuates between a lot of different time signatures, keys, and modes. And what that means is that if people listen to like 4/4 time, which is quote unquote normal rock, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3, you kind of good there. This song goes between 4/4 time, 12/8 time, and 6/8 time. What that means is each time it goes through one of these things, you feel like, oh geez, what's happening? And then when you add in different keys, so their vocals go into a different key, so higher or lower, it makes you feel different. And then they do even different modes, and modes are when you have a scale like on a guitar, like a minor scale is kind of like what blues feels like. They go into something called mixolodian, which has a sort of a nuance. It's almost like I don't know. It's hard to really explain and put your finger on, but what it does, it makes you feel sort of out of control. And I think at certain parts in the song, you feel like this song's gonna you're gonna mess up, right? I mean, it sounds like you're off the rails. Do you feel that way?
Yeah. No, I don't know any of these. I know about the times and the time signatures and things, but the mixolodian, is that what you said?
Yeah, mixolodian. Yeah, it's okay. Like I said, it's a different scale. Probably some Indian thing. And when I say Indian, I'm saying like India.
Yeah. You think Nickelodeon got their name from that scale?
Probably. Let me Google them.
Cool. But no,
So,
it
so
is like as you're explaining, and how it goes into different time signatures and Mixolydian signatures and things like that, scales. Um, you do feel like you're listening to many different songs at once, and yeah, I can see where you're going with how it feels like it might be going off the rails. It might be, where is this song leading me, and
yeah.
does it bring you back? I don't know. We'll have to listen to it. But
And I tell you, man, if this guy was literally, just got done at the Dollar General, picked up a 6 pack of Mountain Dews, went back to his hotel room, and this thing came out, like, geez, ow, that's pretty legit. So great for a night of writing. So do you wanna jump into this, or do you have anything else to add here before we listen to her?
um, no, I mean I did have one more comment about the band itself and their artwork for their covers. If we want to talk
Nice.
about that real quick,
Heck yeah.
because one thing stuck out to me. They put a lot of details and metaphors and things like that into their covers. So if you Google Kansas artwork, there's some cooler ones, like their original cover or their original album is pretty cool looking, and their next few after that definitely. But one of them is Point of No Return,
Mm-hmm.
and which I think features the song Dust in the Wind, which you hate because you've probably never seen the album, but it has a ship on it going off a waterfall on the edge of what appears to be the end of the earth. So I was just curious on your theory if Kansas are flat earthers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean they live in the most flat part of the country. They probably
You-
did fear that there was a waterfall at the end of the world. Okay, well, you agree
they
with
they
me.
can
I think
they can
Kansas are
see
flat earthers.
they can see all four corners of Kansas from where they live. Um, you know what this reminds me? This album, actually, by the way, I thought this was the album that the song was on, and it also reminds me a lot of the Sturgill Simpson album. Um, what was the one that we looked at? Sailor's Guide to
Yeah.
Earth.
Oh, you're talking about the Point of No Return?
Yeah.
I had the same feeling when I looked at it, just because it's a ship on a sea.
Mm-hmm.
Sturgill's is a little less flat earthy. It's more turbulent waters with
Yeah.
a kraken in there and whatnot. But yeah, I don't think Sturgill's a flat earther.
No, he's
But
reasonable.
but yeah, maybe Kansas. So we should just go ahead and give the song a listen now that I got my
Mm-hmm.
flat Earth comment out there.
All right. Well, folks, we can't play these songs on here, so we're going to transition here. We're going to tell you to go to our Spotify channel or any of our other channels, or look the song up and listen to it. I would ask you to listen to the non-radio edit version, which is about 5 minutes 23 seconds. And you'll hear some music, and we're going to cut out for a few minutes, and then we'll come back and talk about it. So
I'll put links in the episode description for both YouTube and the Spotify, links to the songs, this one and the Anthrax one, when we get to that. But yeah, we're going to play a little musical interlude, and we will be back soon.
right on.
All right. What a song.
Wow.
It took you on a journey.
It is.
Even though it's not Journey, it's Kansas. It still took you on a journey.
You know, this isn't. I could see Journey doing a song like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but man, like every change up, especially when you get to the latter half of the song. I mean, it you start feeling like, oh my gosh. I mean, can they take it up a notch? And they're like, yep.
Yeah, it's a fun song. Yeah, I enjoy the heck out of that song. And it's one of those songs that everybody knows, even if you don't like it, you know it, and you probably know half the lyrics to it just through, you know, just through hearing it so many times. Like you said, it was on classic radio all the time.
Right.
Still is.
Right. And I tell you, man, the vocals are tough. Like to sing that song, if you were going to sing that, you have got to have a crazy set of pipes from the acapella beginning to. So at 4:13, I had to look this up after listening to the song like 20 times. At 4:13, if you go to the 4:13 mark, you hear him goes, it's the second time he goes, "Don't you cry no more," and he sings that on a high E, which I think it's got to be near the top of his range. But he sings that note for 9 seconds, and at the end of it, you can just tell he's belting out more and more, like giving it everything he's got, and it's like, gosh dang, having to knowing that they got such a hell of a song that they're going to have to play this thing live. Like him, I mean, he's got to be sitting there thinking, man, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. And then there's a solo, and then he has to do the same thing again, and he hits it for 5 to 6 seconds, and it's like, geez, I mean, that's a feat, just that note.
Yeah, and as you say, like as you mentioned, them playing it live, like. So watching the music video for it, they obviously just played it live. It wasn't a live concert performance, right. But I'm wondering, after you watch that and you watch the lead singer go from one microphone just singing, and then he starts playing the synthesizer or whatever, and singing in that mic, and then he starts playing some bongos, and then you got the other singer who's in the background just popping on a tambourine, having a good old time. But yeah, it's just, you got to wonder, did they have extra musicians on tour for things like this? I mean, it already seems like that video made it look like the band was bigger than what I thought it was.
Yeah,
member wise.
I mean, I did, I got the Wikipedia page up here. It looks like there's a lot of people in the band anyway, but, but man, you as a band, you have to go into the studio knowing that you have to replicate these things. And I think this is kind of like one of those deals where, you and I talked about record listeners, people that listen to or album listeners, people that listen to an album all the way through, or single listeners, people that listen to just one song at a time. And there's also live. I think there's people that try to recreate what they do in the studio precisely. And then there's other people that just go out there and just kind of, hey, we just need to, rock out. And I don't know where Kansas lies on this. I didn't look any live albums, so or live YouTube. So
yeah, I think they go all out live. I remember seeing them live at the summer celebration. I was in my teens, it's a long time ago, but I remember it being a huge production, and just there was a lot of people on stage, and so I think they took what they did in the studio, and they were like, yep, we're going to recreate this live, even if we need 3 or 4 extra people in the band.
Yeah.
Like as an album listener, like I think this was pretty much the only single from this album. Yeah. And it's a concept album, so it's got a lot of the similar themes and similar vibes to it as this song. So it's a good album.
Yeah. And again, I mean, look, if you plucked out a person in life and said you get one song to make and this is what you'd bring up, I mean, look, I'd be done. I'd be like, yeah, that's what I got right there. I'm gonna become a born again Christian. But again, I still think when I'm and I've listened to this song a lot. I mean, not only this last couple weeks, but um, through all the years that you heard on the radio and stuff. Is again, I still think at the end there, I still feel like, man, there's any minute this song is going to mess up, and it'd be great to be a fly on the wall in the studio, hearing him do some of this stuff and working this out, and then obviously recording it to get that energy. And that's one thing that live music does for a lot of people. I think it brings you to the edge of your seat, like, hey, this band could mess up at any moment. And then it doesn't quite always translate to studio music. But this song does. I mean, this is how rock and roll should feel all the time to me. And so for my soliloquy on Kansas, this is a hell of a. I mean, this deserves to be up in some of the greatest classic rock songs of all time.
I agree with you. I agree with you on your point there. Of the this is definitely right up there. I mean, just to the point that I mentioned, like, everybody knows this song, even if you don't like the style of music.
Yeah, right. So
but,
then,
you know who else really liked this song?
Who is that?
Anthrax.
Yeah. Like I said, man, or like you said in the beginning of this, is that I in a million years I would never have thought Anthrax doing this song. And I've always liked Anthrax. When you take the big four, though, they're probably number 4 for me. I mean, Metallica.
I think that's kind of the popular opinion. They're probably one of the, number 4 on that list. But they definitely inspired a generation themselves.
Yeah, and all the other 3 of the big 4 were from LA or California, so it's good to have the East represented there. And I was surprised at how online they were classified. On Wikipedia, it says they were also classified as thrash metal, speed metal, heavy metal, groove metal, alternative metal, rap metal, and it's like you could put any word in front of metal. And I think that they probably had an instance in their life, prog metal, probably for this song. Huh?
Well, I think I think that rap metal was thrown in there because they did. I wish I would have written it down, but they did a mashup with a rap band. Now I can't remember who it was. Public Enemy, maybe.
Public Enemy. It was Bring the
Public
Noise.
Enemy. Okay. Yeah.
And that's honestly, that's probably the first time I can remember knowing that was Anthrax. Because of that. That was in 1991. And it was for the Less Than Zero soundtrack, which is a movie. I'm not a movie guy, so I didn't know what that was, but it had the guy from Iron Man in it. It looked like the cover looked like a chick flick kind of thing, but then they have this song in there.
Robert Downey Jr. Okay.
Yeah, this is probably during his drug
I don't
days.
remember that movie or the soundtrack, but yeah, when he was good.
Yeah,
kidding.
Yeah. Actually, as a matter of fact, I thought this song. So, and again, I was going back from memory. I thought this song was on the soundtrack for a movie called Judgment Night, which I don't even remember that movie, but it has. I think it's the best mashup soundtrack album out there. It has like Biohazard and Onyx, and I mean, there's cool rap rock songs all the way through it.
Nice. I'll have to check that one out because it sounds familiar, but I don't really remember it. But I'm not so familiar with the band Anthrax myself. I never really listened to much thrash metal. I am familiar with Metallica and Megadeth. They got more, into the mainstream. Also, Slayer, the other part of the Big Four. But doing some research, I saw the guitarist, Scott Ian, and instantly I was like, okay, I know who this band is. Like, I was like, oh, I recognize that now.
Yeah. So Scott Ian Rosenfeld, he's the actually only member that's been in the band since the beginning and actually on every recording.
Nice.
And I tell you, Anthrax as a whole has had a crazy bunch of lineup changes, lawsuits. It's an ugly It's ugly. And again, I think that doesn't help your band when you're going against the likes of Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and the like. But no, Scott Ian, he was on like a bunch of like VH1 kind of shows, like Superstar,
Oh,
and it was
you're
like
right. That's probably
he almost became like a VJ,
yeah. That's probably how I recognize him now that you say that. I think he was, yeah. He was kind of in a lot of those shows. Okay.
yeah, and he looks kick ass. Like he looks like he could be in a band like Anthrax, but he also looks very approachable. He's kind of like Henry Rollins in a way of like, oh, he looks like a normal guy. Looks like he could work in a
Yeah.
shop and just be a cool dude to hang in. And but actually, he's the rhythm guitarist. And huge Malcolm Young fan of ECDC. Obviously, Malcolm was the rhythm guitarist of ECDC and wrote a bunch of those songs. And so it was, yeah. So that's how you recognize this guy for years. Definitely, I would say probably the most quote unquote famous person in Anthrax. But this cover was done for the For All Kings box set album released in 2016, which was their 11th album. Straight up tribute, right? I mean,
Straight up tribute. Yeah. Yeah. So, when we talked about starting this podcast and the songs we pick, we really like the idea of each cover being the artist's own, which Anthrax does make it their own. So we felt like it still qualifies for our loosely based rules. But it is a straight up tribute. And from what I read, they wanted it to be a straight up tribute.
yeah,
But again, when you're Anthrax covering Kansas, you're still going to make it your own. There's
right,
no way they can't make it sound a bit like Anthrax.
right. So here's, and I'll add to that on two points. The first one is the cover of the single, and the thing is a straight up copy of the Kansas album cover.
Yeah, I love it. But it's got
which
like
is cool.
but it's got like a goofy guy's face. But then I was looking at it. I was looking at my album, and then I had the picture of the Anthrax cover single album up, and they've got little differences. Like in the Kansas album, they've got an acoustic guitar leaning against like a fireplace, and in the Anthrax, it's like this fucking like flying V looking guitar.
Yeah,
And then in Kansas, they've got a piano in the background, just kind of nestled back there. And in Anthrax, it's a drum set with like a what's a devil star called?
Pentagram.
Pentagram.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's little differences, but yeah, I liked how whoever did that artwork. It was fun.
So my second point on this of it being a tribute, and when I was listening to the Kansas one, I was trying to like know what key it's in and stuff like this, and it ends. The song is mainly in E minor, the original song, and at the very end, the last note that's played is actually an F. So it goes up one half note or one semitone or tone. And I thought, well, geez, I wonder if Anthrax and a lot of these thrash bands and heavy metal bands typically play lower, like they tune their guitars a half step lower or a full step lower. And I thought for sure this was, and sure enough, it's in the same key. It's in the same key. And then I was like, well, let me see what they did here. And it's the exact same length of the Kansas one within a partial of a second, right? So I listened to a bunch and I'm like, gosh dang. And I started finding these parts that all line up. Even that Don't You Cry No More, where I was just saying that it was at 3 minutes and 14 seconds or 4 minutes and 13 seconds or whatever it was. So I laid them on top of each other. And I'm telling you, they're so eerily close that they had to have had them in their earphones when they were playing it. I mean, they don't, it's almost truly note for note. The only differences that I could really pick out were some of the double basses, and there's some guitar differences in some of the solos. But dang, I mean, it is close, like crazy close.
Yeah, and that's I didn't lay them over each other like you did. I don't even know how to do that, um, but yeah, those were the main differences I picked out in these two versions. Was yeah, you've got that heavy bass, double bass,
Yeah.
just heavy metal drummer sound,
Yeah.
and then yeah, with some of the guitar solos, you can just tell they're an Anthrax metal band guitar solo sound to the same notes as Kansas played it.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. And it was even weird. Like when you listen to the very beginning, the acapella part, hone in on even the reverb and like the room sound or the reverb delay that they have. I mean, they obviously they weren't in the same room and they didn't, but they tried to replicate it as close as possible, which is awesome. I mean, it's a tribute. It was obviously that they respect this band and and that's what they were trying to achieve. And I think they achieved it in spades. I mean, we should probably listen to it, right?
We're giving away spoilers.
I know.
To how
I feel
the
like I
song
jumped the
even
gun
sounds.
here, but
yeah, no, that's okay. It gives maybe some of the listeners who were like a little leery on listening to a cover version by Anthrax, maybe now they'll actually listen to it because it's enjoyable. So
yeah, well, I hope they do. 5 minutes and 24 seconds as it clocks in on Spotify. So just it's less than a second more than Kansas one, and this one has 4.7 million listens. So just about 1% of the amount that Kansas has had. So let's give it a listen and talk about it in a second.
Let's go. And we're back.
Nice. I mean,
woof
a doofa.
That rocks.
It again. I'm in awe of how exacting they were. And to get the same feeling with everything structurally the same, and that's very, very hard to do as a band in the studio. You typically lose something if you're trying to do it that close, and to get that excitement. And with obviously they have some modern production techniques on there, which I think is which is understandable because it's newer, obviously.
Yeah, I think they did an excellent job. I think they, like, to your point, they just wanted to take a song that they loved and give it as much love and respect as they could as a as a thrash metal band, and just make it sound like the one they heard growing up.
Yeah. The true measurement stick that I had here was, after listening to these and being so impressed by the "Don't You Cry No More," that big long one that they did in the original, which was 9 seconds, 9 seconds and like 23 tenths of a second. I was going to say sub-seconds, which sub-seconds. This guy did the same "Don't You Cry No More" for 10 seconds, 10.5 seconds. So almost over a second longer to belt that out. Now he probably knew that he didn't have to do it on tour every night. But and then beat the second "Don't You Cry No More" by half a second. So, where they could, they took a little bit of liberty, and I mean that's the climax of the song, or one of the climaxes of the song. It's like, yeah, fuck, we're gonna hit her hard. Holy moly, this is a tribute for sure. I mean, the attention to detail is exacting. It's awesome. Obviously, Anthrax is a great band, great musicians. But to be able to pull that off in the studio, geez, nailed it.
Yeah. This is just a tribute.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that I noticed, so again, as I told you, I kind of laid them on top of each other. And one of the I brought up earlier about the guy singing "Don't You Cry No More" for like 9 minutes, or gosh, why don't I say minutes? It's 9 seconds and just a little over. When they did it in this version, the dude did it for 10 and a half seconds. So almost a full second longer. But I'm pretty sure when he did this, he was like, I don't have to do that every night, like Kansas did. And just like in the Kansas version, there was a guitar solo, and he has to go do it again. And he belted it out for just over 5 seconds, which was about half a second longer than the original. So that vocalist gave everything he had, and I think overall, Anthrax in general took embellishments in such subtle ways that you'd have to get down to the nitty-gritties like we are here to even appreciate or realize that they were different. I mean, that's so minute.
Yeah, but I mean, I would say he's kind of an overachiever if he's trying to outdo the original.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're a thrash metal band. You're going to overachieve everything you can. You get faster, more, harder. What do you want there?
Yeah. I forgot to mention earlier. So maybe the reason why they tried to overachieve is because Scotty Ian, the one I recognized, he's married to Pearl Aday, who's the adopted daughter of Michael Lee Aday, who's more famously known as Meatloaf.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I wanted to bring it up earlier when we were talking about Anthrax, but I forgot.
She's the daughter of Meatloaf?
She's the adopted daughter of Meatloaf.
So she didn't get Meatloaf's good looks?
No, I mean, unfortunately for her, there's no blood there, but yeah, she is the daughter of Meatloaf. Rest in peace. Also died the same year as Bob Saget.
I've been listening to some Bob Saget. I've been listening to a lot of Bob Saget lately.
Previous episodes.
Meatloaf is gross to me. He's just a gross looking dude. And I keep thinking, like, when you hear that Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, like him banging a chick, I'm like, oh, that's a sweaty mess. I mean, and your name's Meatloaf.
That actually reminds me of our Max Martin conversation from last episode. And how you thought he was a sweaty dude who was gross. No, dude's very, very attractive. So anyways, sorry, Max Martin, for thinking you were not who you are.
All right. Well, let's do since we're doing cleanup on this episode here, I did find out that Mixolydian is from Greece. It's a Greek harmonial based octave species or scale. We got that one, folks. It's not from India. It's from Greece.
Greece.
The other thing I wanted to bring up before we get into our votes of our favorite here is if you go to Spotify and you type in "Carry On Wayward Son" or "My Wayward Son" or "A Wayward Son," there are several other covers of this song that I was sort of surprised at. Yngwie Malmsteen, he's kind of a thrash guitar, not thrash, guitar god kind of a guy. Guar does this song. Dream Theater.
What?
Yeah, Guar.
These are all like super heavy bands.
I know. I didn't. I honestly had no idea that these types of bands gravitated to Kansas. I wouldn't have put that together in a million years. But obviously, this if I was in the thrash metal scene or the shredding guitar scene, maybe Kansas is like the band. But there is this version, Niani, that she does a acoustic piano version of the song. It's really good. It's 2 minutes and 58 seconds. It's just the verses. It's not all the breakdowns and stuff. But it's something that you could sleep on a very nice pillow. And maybe we could give a plug to our pillow sponsor once again, because you might want to put your head to sleep to Carry On Wayward Son by Neoni.
Yeah, you can rest your head on the Carry On Wayward Slumber pillow. Get rid of your old lumpy pillows. Listen to Neoni. I'll have to give that one a listen. I didn't realize it, but the Carry On Wayward Slumber pillow is available today. Just go to their website, Google it, you'll find it. They didn't give it to me. Yeah,
Nice.
rest well, knowing that that your head will be nice and supported by dust
Wayward
in the wind.
Dustin.
I don't know. They only gave me a certain amount of copy.
So, well, why don't I don't know who went first last time. Go ahead and give her a go.
I went first last time.
Oh, well, shit. Okay. Well,
I just edited that episode, so I remember.
Oh, good. Well, here's the way I'm going to put this out. There's a tribute to be had. This one's perfect, and I'll say it again. Perfect. And that's what makes this such an interesting choice. Is that it's note for note. It's killer. Kansas wrote it, crushed it from being from writing to production. It's a mega hit. Anthrax, man, note for note, second by second, didn't skimp anywhere. Updated it for sound, and so for a photo finish, it's got to be Kansas, because I got to stay true to my philosophy. And my own ethics, saying that if it's an identical song, the original must win. I mean, it's sort of like the bass runner, gets the call. But I will say again, it's very hard to maintain the original's excitement, and as a studio cover, the way they did. And this isn't a knock on Anthrax by giving Kansas the win here. It's actually, Anthrax obviously wanted to pay exacting tribute to Kansas, and I bet if they were in the studio, I bet they were probably decisions to be made that said, you know what, Kansas didn't do it that way, so let's not do it that way. And so I feel comfortable with my decision. So yeah, Kansas.
I appreciate your vote there. One thing I do have to call out is that you put a baseball reference in there, and I thought you hated baseball. So that seems strange, but
baseball sucks. I'm alienating a bunch of people, but why not keep going with it, right?
But anyways, so yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't like what? Swedish food? You don't like baseball? Okay, those are the only two things I can think of right off the bat. But yeah, so you took Kansas on this one. I'm going to reiterate your point that this is an epic song. It's got lasting power. It's still on the radio today. It's one that we've heard a million times, and we might not go seek it out, but when it comes on the radio, I'm not necessarily going to turn it. Kansas did an amazing job with this, especially with it coming to them from a beam of light. and extending their recording sessions, but with all the places this song takes you, it's amazing. Anthrax did an amazing job covering it, like Nick said, note for note. Basically doing an amazing job on the vocals too with it. Very few differences, other than some drum sounds, some guitar sounds. Pretty much everything else was on spot, but yeah, to Nick's point as well, I will go Kansas, being that they are so similar, and it was just a straight up tribute. I'm going to go with the original artist, and I pick Kansas as well.
Right on. Right on. Well, I tell you, it's been a fun episode. We meandered a little bit, but not too much, I think. And um, it's I like it when we always align here because we have basically the same musical taste. So I think it's sometimes going to be a rarity. But what do you guys all think? Kansas? Do you hate Kansas? Do you love Kansas, the state or the band? Anthrax? What do you think about the cover there? Let us know in your comments or text us or email us. We appreciate listening and all the feedback and everything. And with that, I think we're over now. Anything you want to add there, Charlie?
Yeah, no, I just want to say thanks for all the continued support and feedback, and appreciate any new listeners. And share it if you like it. Share if you don't like it. Yeah, we like doing this, and we want to keep doing it. So we appreciate it all. Appreciate your time, and everybody take care.
Right on. Over now.
All right, love you.